be concentrated so that no beggar is seen on the streets of the country. Pada Namaskaram Swami. It is 6 o'clock. So we shall start the prayers now.
Okay.
Oh, okay, Swami.
Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, 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 Unmatta Natana Tandavam, Matte Bhavadana Bhasuram, Chittabja Bhaskaram, Ayat Yogarajitam, Viddesha Nitya Pujitam, Uttana Pani Mudritam, Shri Krittivas Sasutam, Kailasa Drisha Dinartanam, Bhaktantaranga Vartanam, Papauga Pasha Kartanam, Shri Parvati Sutam Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje. Lambodharanga Tandavam, Mudrakarabja Panditam, Sarvanganaga Mandanam, Vande Vinayakam Patim, Dhim Dhim Mitakitamartalam, Bam Bam Ninada Shankakam, Ananda Nitya Tatparam, Dhyayami Pramathanayakam, Amodakaramodakam, Vedantamati Madakam, Dushkarma Phalasadakam, Vigneshwaram Gurum Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje. Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam, Mokshakhya Daitya Maranam, Samsara Jaladhe Karanam, Staumi Prabhu Naravaranam, Panchasya Madhi Daivatam, Devarishibhe Samarchitam, Aloka Galita Sanchitam, Vignadhinath Mashraye, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje. Lokaika Parama Vaibhavam, Lokeshwaradi Sambhavam, Aloka Parihrutodbhavam, Alokaye Param Bhavam. Shri Krishna Kavi Niveditaihi, Shlokakhya Modakairimaihi, Ananda Ganapatim Patim, Aradhayantu Sadhakaha. Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje, 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 Shri Datta Ganapatim Bhaje.
Samarambham Shri Dattatreya Shri Datta Swami Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Sarva Vishwanyasta Pada Padmayate वामहस्तालोल वेदशास्त्रायते ज्ञानसूर्यायते दत्तरूपायते श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम् श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम् श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम् गुरुदत्त श्रीदत्त प्रभुदत्त पाहि माम् विधिदत्त हरिदत्त हरदत्त रक्ष माम् पाहि माम् दत्त रक्ष माम् दत्त स्वामी नमस्कारं स्वामी
नमस्ते
Pada Namaskaram Swamiji.
नमस्ते
With salutations at the lotus feet of Shri Datta Swami, let us begin the satsang. We will continue with the Shri Radha Krishna Gita. Today we begin the 10th chapter. The name of the chapter is Kama Prema Bheda Vichara Yoga, the association of the enquiry about the difference between lust and love. I offer this dedication at the lotus feet of Swamiji. From you alone is all knowledge sublime, and everything that's great and fine. All the ignorance and error are but mine, for I am just a soul, and you, the goal divine. Trusting your compassion benign, my errant service I yet consign to those holy lotus feet of thine, Shri Datta Swami, my Sadguru trine. The chapter begins by a question from Shri Radha Devi. She says, Shri Radha Devi Uvacha He Shri Krishna Twadanyakaha Vivrunoti Shrutermatam Bruhi Mam Tattvabodhaya Vibhedam Prema Kamayoho. Shri Radha Devi spoke, O Shri Krishna, who can reveal the essence of the Veda except yourself? I would like to know the difference between love and lust. Please explain this difference to me so that I can understand spiritual knowledge very clearly. Then Lord Krishna answers her, Shri Krishna Bhagavan Uvacha Prema Rati Parimitam Kama Ityuchyate Budhaihi Sarva Kona Bruhat Prema Premeti Pandita Viduhu. God Shri Krishna spoke, when the love to sexual union, such narrow love is called lust by scholars. If the love becomes most broad and general, extending to all angles and aspects, it is said to be love according to the knowledge of spiritual scholars. So what Swami is saying is, love and lust seem to be similar, but the main difference is lust is only limited to sexual union. It is the desire for sex that is lust. So it is only a very narrow perspective. You want the partner to provide sexual pleasure to you. If that is your interest in your partner, then you don't have love for your partner. You only have lust. Love is all-encompassing. You want that partner for the relationship is not limited. It is not parimitam. It is not constrained or restricted only to the sexual act. You want the partner for a variety of things. It's not more of a want, but actually true love is actually an admiration. It is your appreciation of that person's divine qualities. And sex could be part of that all-round, all-encompassing love. So love is the all-encompassing broader concept, and lust is a very narrow, limited, and self-centered concept. Lord Krishna further continues. He says, Kama karma para prema, prema vaiyaktikam sada, kamo rasaya nairjataha, prema tajjanma janmabhihi. Swami explains, lust is limited to the process of sexual union. Love is always limited to a certain favorite personality. Lust is born of some chemicals called hormones. Love is born as a result of an infinite number of past births. So we saw in the previous verse, love is a broad and all-round attraction towards the partner. And where does that love come from? From an infinite number of past births, and particularly when we are talking about the love for God. If the object of your love is God, then if you truly love God, or let us say, if we find some devotee, he or she, who truly loves God, then that love is not the result of anything that that person has done or anything that that person has seen or experienced in this birth alone. It is the result of an infinite number of past births, during which that devotee learnt about God, learnt about the greatness of God, the divine qualities of God. As a result of that spiritual knowledge, the knowledge about God, the person has developed an attraction towards God. And that attraction is an all-round attraction. It is not only related to sex. If it were only related to sex, that is not called love, it is called lust. So lust is that limited attraction, which is essentially self-centered. You want pleasure from that person. Whereas love is firstly not self-centered, and it is an all-round attraction, which is the result of an infinite number of past births. Now, when it comes to one human being and another human being, we can understand lust, which is sexual attraction. That is quite natural. Whether true love exists between one human being and another human being is hard to say, mostly not, because in order for true love to exist between two people, they should be, at least one of them should be attracted to the extraordinary qualities of the other person. But extraordinary qualities are not found among human beings. For there to be all-round love, all-round unconditional love, that requires the attraction to be so strong, so complete, that it's not possible in a human being, because that person is not an embodiment of perfection. All-round love, total unconditional love can exist between a human being and God, as in the human being can love God because God is an embodiment of perfection. So, and that true love towards God is called devotion, and that devotion is the result of an infinite number of past births. Now, that is generally that love is limited to a certain person. It is not that a devotee or any person loves without any discrimination, loves anyone and everyone. No, that love is focused on one person. That this person is attracted only to that one favorite personality. And here, in the context of spirituality, in the context of devotion, that the favorite personality we are talking about is God. Lust, as we know, is driven by hormones. It is driven by biological processes. And so there's not much depth in that feeling of lust, really. It is true love which really merits further investigation, further understanding. That issue about the sharing has come again. I'm resharing it. Okay. Yes, we covered this verse. Gopyo dvadash tat prema parikshatraya sajjayaha ekadareshanātirnaha sakamasshesha gopikaha. Swami says, the 12 gopikas who passed the tests of all the three worldly bonds, which is the fascination for wealth, fascination for issues, and fascination for the wife, they represent that pure love. Who represents pure love? The 12 gopikas who passed all the tests. They represent pure love. The other gopikas who passed only the test of the spouse bond represent impure lust. Love is pure, lust is impure. The past gopikas who were able to overcome their bond with their children as well as their wealth along with the bond with the spouse, overcoming those three tests, overcoming those three bonds in those three tests of worldly bonds, proves that their love for God was all round. It was not limited to just the sexual act. So their attraction towards God, their attraction towards Lord Krishna was true love. That was pure love. The opposite case is the case of the failed gopikas. The gopikas who failed in proving that their love for Krishna was greater than their love for their children and their love for their wealth. Those are the failed gopikas. They were able to overcome the bond with their spouse because they loved Krishna more than their spouse. But whether they really loved Krishna or they desired a lustful relationship with Krishna, that question remains. That could have been answered only if they could overcome their other two worldly bonds, but they could not. And therefore, their love is not true love. It is actually lust. It is impure love, which means it is lust. So that is how Lord Krishna, through those three tests, he separated the Siddha Gopikas from the Sadhaka Gopikas. The Siddha Gopikas are the ones who passed all the three tests, and the Sadhaka Gopikas are those who passed only one test, which is the spouse bond test. As Swamiji has explained many times, the spouse bond test is the easiest test to pass. Next one. Prema Daiva Param Bhaktihi Prema Martyamitam Sura Purana Navapatrastha Tatvenaika Subodhita. If one is attached to a worldly items in all angles, such an attachment is called love. If the same type of all-round love exists in a soul's attachment to God, such love is called devotion. There is no trace of difference between love and devotion except in the goals to which the person is attached. If you understand that both are one and the same in a sense, devotion is very clearly understood. So here the equivalence or the essential commonality between love and devotion is explained. What is devotion? Devotion is love, basically. Love towards whom? Love towards God. Love is a term which we use generally. You could love your child, you could love your spouse, you could love something else, someone or something else. That is love. Love is a general term, relatively. But that even to use the word love over there should be that all-round attraction, that all-round attachment. If it is only restricted to sex, then that is called lust. That's not even love. Love means you are attracted to that person in all aspects. All-round, all-encompassing love towards a certain person is true love. If that person happens to be God, then such true love towards God is called devotion. So there is no special ingredient in the love which makes it devotion. Love is just love, but the object of the love, the goal, whom you love, determines whether that love will be called devotion or not. So we use the word devotion in a spiritual context. As such, it is common to use the word devotion in a worldly context also, but our discussion is strictly related to spirituality. So in spirituality, the word devotion is applied to the relationship between a devotee and God. So an all-round attachment to God is devotion, and all-round attachment to any worldly item is called love. Pravritteryo nivruttistho bandhamohadvayojjitah premodaharanam sakshat mukto dharmatigo mahan. Swami explains, the devotee crossing pravritti and standing on nivritti leaves both the worldly bond and its fascination. Such a greatest devotee crosses even justice, that is pravritti, due to his or her purest love for God. Such a devotee is the highest climax devotee. So pravritti is the path of worldly life. Nivritti is the path of spiritual life. Pravritti or worldly life includes following the rules of justice. God has given a list of rules that one must follow while leading worldly life. What is the main purpose behind all those rules? Those rules related to pravritti are meant to maintain peace and harmony between all living beings. God's intention is that one living being should not hurt another living being. All living beings should remain happy. Non-hurting is ahimsa. Ahimsa paramo dharmaha. So non-violence or non-hurting of others is justice, is the essence of justice. That is the life of pravritti. When a soul is firmly established in that path of pravritti, when the person does not hurt other souls by violating those rules given by God. If you violate the rules given by God, you are inevitably going to hurt someone. Okay, so we are not able to predict, if I violate this rule, who is it going to hurt? Sometimes it is possible, sometimes it is not so easy to understand. So from our point of view, it is very simple. You just follow those rules, leave the rest to God. You may say that by me following, let's say, the principle of honesty or loyalty to my spouse, who am I not hurting? Or by violating that rule, who am I hurting? If you use a little bit of discrimination, it is easy to understand who you will be hurting. But in case you are not able to figure out who is getting hurt by your violation, never mind. Don't use your brains. Just follow the rule. If you are in this manner firmly established in this path of worldly justice, then you become eligible for the spiritual path. If you are not even established in the path of worldly justice, you can forget about the spiritual path. Really speaking, there is no possibility of you reaching the spiritual goal. But God, in His infinite compassion, has provided some pathways for even a soul who is sinful to at least try for the spiritual goal. One of those paths is Madhura Bhakti. There are other paths given in the Veda also. Those paths given in the Veda, they are not restricted to only females. They are equally applicable to males and females. The male and female devotees can adopt those paths, initially overcome their sinful nature, and then proceed to the spiritual goal. So that is basically what we have to understand is, you must first get established in worldly justice. In worldly justice, in pravrutti, that is called the pravrutti marga, the path of worldly justice. When you get established in worldly justice, you have bonds with your family. You have worldly bonds. You have bonds with your child. You have a bond with your child. You have a bond with your spouse. You have a bond with your wealth and property. And you also have many other bonds. You have bonds with your parents and so on. But those other bonds are not so strong. These three are very strong. The bond with your child is the strongest. Next, probably your bond with your wealth and property is strong. And then the bond with your spouse. So you have these bonds. Now, nivrutti means having a singular bond with God and God alone. Compared to your bond with God, no other bond should matter. Your bond with God should be so intense, so strong, that compared to that bond, your bond with your children and your spouse and your family and your wealth and all that should not matter at all. That is the ideal case. In other words, it means that you should overcome your bonds with your family and worldly things due to your bond with God, due to the strength of the bond with God. Now, overcoming your worldly bonds can mean two things. One is you physically cut the bond. For instance, if you divorce your wife or you divorce your husband, you have cut your bond with that partner. But does it mean that internally that desire or the fascination for having a life partner, for having a romantic partner, has that desire or that fascination gone? No, it has not gone. So externally breaking a bond is different from internally eliminating the fascination for that bond. If you really have to reach God, if you really have to be successful on the path of nivrutti, you have to do both. Not only should you be able to break the bond with your basically your worldly bonds, not only should you be able to break all your worldly bonds externally, but you should be able to overcome the fascination for those bonds. And actually, if you overcome the internal fascination towards those bonds, there is no need to externally give up those bonds. But God may test you. So don't try to be over smart, saying that, God, please, you need not break my bond with my spouse externally, because internally I have overcome the fascination. Internally I'm not bonded with her at all. So please don't cut my bond externally. It's a very convenient way of saying. When God tests, you have to prove yourself. In what way He will test, that will not be told. If what question is going to come on the question paper is already told to the students, is that even a test? So here the concept we are trying to understand is, the greatest devotee leaves both the worldly bond externally and the internal fascination. When you are completely freed of the bond as well as its fascination, all worldly bonds as well as the fascinations, internal fascinations for those bonds, due to the purest love for God, you are said to be liberated. You are the highest climax devotee who is liberated. What is the meaning of liberation? Liberation means freeing yourself from worldly bonds. If you are able to free yourself from the three strongest worldly bonds, you have freed yourself from all worldly bonds. God is not going to free you. You have to free yourself. How do you free yourself? If you learn his spiritual knowledge, which describes his perfect personality, he being an embodiment of all the divine qualities, he being an embodiment of divine perfection. When you learn this fact that he is an embodiment of perfection, you develop a singular bond with him. And all these bonds naturally drop off. So God is not cutting your bond, understand? God is not going to cut your bond. You just have to learn his knowledge, understand it properly. Devotion is an automatic phenomenon. It is not something to be forced. Today, for 1 hour, I'm going to sit and I'm going to try to love God. You can't try to love anybody. If you understand the person's greatness, love will automatically happen. Love happens. Love is not forced. You cannot force love. If it is forced, it is not love. So when that naturally happens, the devotee is said to have crossed justice. What is the meaning of the devotee has crossed justice? The rules of justice dictate that you should have a bond with your wife, meaning you should take care of her, be it the wife or the husband. It works both ways. So you should be attached to your family, consisting of your spouse, your children, your parents. You should take care of them. They take care of you in return. You should safeguard your own money. This is all a part of the rules of justice. When those bonds, as well as the internal fascination, drop off, you are said to have crossed justice. But it is important for whose sake you are crossing justice. You should cross justice not for the sake of some other worldly attraction. You should cross justice due to your attraction to God. For example, a person leaves his wife because he is attracted to some other woman. This person the person might have broken the bond with his married wife. But has that fascination for lustful romance gone from his mind? No, it has not. And that person has definitely not crossed justice. In fact, that person has fallen to the lowest path of dushpravritti, which is injustice. So this is the concept of crossing justice in order to attain the climax of nivritti. Now Swami continues. He says, Dushpravrittir nivrittistho bandhamohayata khalaha pravrittim langhate kaschit pravrittisthagita pare. Now the meaning. The soul immersed in dushpravritti is controlled by both the worldly bond and its fascination. That soul is a sinner. In the transformation from dushpravritti to pravritti, the worldly bond is changed, but not its fascination. Such bad female souls are transformed to pravritti by redirecting their lust towards God. Slowly, on studying the divine personality of God, they leave the lust they had towards unjust bonds, and they retain lust towards their justified bond. These devotees rise from the lowest level of dushpravritti and stand at the middle level of pravritti. Among such devotees, one fortunate devotee leaves even the justified pravritti and enters into nivritti, developing pure love for God. So what you see on the screen is the three levels, three paths of dushpravritti, pravritti and nivritti. Dushpravritti is injustice, the path of injustice. So you can imagine a woman who does not stick to the Radha Krishna Gita is concerned with the quality of kama. Kama means lust. And so injustice is one dimension of injustice is lustful nature. There are other dimensions of injustice also. For this conversation, we will stick to lust. So you imagine a woman who has lustful relations with multiple partners, or with a person who is not the married husband of that woman. Lust with the married husband is not injustice. That is part of pravritti. Lust with your married spouse is in fact accepted by Lord Krishna. It is also accepted by the Dharma Shastras. It is recommended by the Veda. So that is, we are not finding fault with that. The lust with an illegitimate partner is being criticized over here. So you imagine a woman who has a lustful relationship with someone other than a legitimate married partner. So she is treading the path of dushpravritti or injustice. Let us say that she is unable, let's say she wants to rise to the path of pravritti, but she is unable to do so. If you go and advise her, she says that, see, I am the way I am, I cannot change. You may recommend to her that, why don't you just leave all this kind of life, and why don't you get married to some nice gentleman and be happy with that person. But she cannot change. So what God is saying is that such a woman may redirect her lust, her uncontrollable lust, towards God. The human incarnation of God comes in an attractive personality like Lord Krishna. And this woman can, instead of going after some human being, some illegitimate romantic partner who is just an ordinary soul, she can redirect her lust towards God. She can have that illegitimate lustful desire towards Krishna. Now, when she starts associating with him, he inevitably preaches spiritual knowledge. And through that spiritual knowledge, she comes to know about God's divine personality, about his extraordinary, noble, excellent qualities. She is impressed by that. One of the chief qualities of God is his love for justice. He hates injustice. He encourages and protects justice. When she comes to understand that, due to her love for him, she may drop her illegitimate, lustful behavior. She may give up her uncontrollable lust, and she might settle down with a husband. So now she maintains a life of pravritti. So she has given up dushpravritti, she has risen to pravritti. And among many such women who have given up the path of dushpravritti and who have settled in pravritti, passing through the intermediate stage of having a lustful desire towards God, one among them may rise to nivritti. So that is what is explained over here, that from dushpravritti, the worldly life of justice is the middle path. That much is, in fact, as far as God is concerned, that much is sufficient. If a soul leaves the unjust path and starts following the path of justice, God is very much happy. God is not interested in making all devotees or all souls in creation turning to the path of nivrutti. That is not neither possible nor is it necessary. God does not expect that at all. But one among the many devotees who have now settled in pravrutti may choose to rise higher and develop pure love for God. In pravrutti, self-centeredness still remains. The person is bonded to the legitimate spouse, to children, to wealth, and many other things, all worldly materialistic things. The only let's say, merit is that the person does not follow any unjust practices, any practices that violate God-given justice. At least that much credit should be given to this pravrutti person. But the pravrutti person is still a self-centered person. There is some love for God, but that love for God has got a self-centered dimension. The person still has some aspirations for pleasing the self. If that person is able to develop such strong love towards God, which exceeds the love for anything that is related to the self, then that is pure love. If I love God so much that I don't care about my money, I don't care about my child, I don't care about my spouse, I don't care about my name, my fame, my honor. If that is the case, then that is true love. Usually, people in pravrutti, they love God because God provides them a comfortable family life, materialistic comfort. Whenever they are in difficulty and when they pray to God, God helps them. So essentially, the love for God is only instrumental love. They love God because He keeps them happy, He keeps them comfortable. If He stops making you comfortable, will you still love God? That is not the case of the pravrutti devotee. That is the case of the nivrutti devotee. Even if God causes a lot of discomfort, this nivrutti devotee will not budge. The nivrutti devotee's love for God cannot be shaken. At least I'm talking about the climax devotee. None of us are at that level. But if there is an ideal climax devotee, like Lord Hanuman, like Radha, then such a person's love cannot be shaken by any trouble that God causes to that devotee. So nivrutti is spiritual life. Pravrutti is worldly life. And dushpravrutti is the worldly life of injustice. So worldly justice, pravrutti is justice. So let's move ahead. Ekaikamishrama प्रतिजीवाय तन्मितः वैद्येन गुरुणा मार्गः सामान्यं नात्र संभवेत्. Each patient has a mixture of different diseases in a specific ratio. The doctor will develop a specific mixture of treatments for each patient. Similarly, every human being has a specific mixture of various qualities. So the divine preacher or the contemporary human incarnation develops a specific mixture of various spiritual paths for every devoted human being. Two patients and two devotees are not totally similar. Hence, generalization is impossible, either in medical treatment or in spiritual guidance. We see in a hospital, different patients come, and each patient has got their own medical history. Someone has high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and maybe that person is dehydrated, and the person is also suffering from a fever. So the treatment that the doctor offers to that patient is based on all those multiple medical conditions. Another patient may also have high blood pressure and high blood sugar, but that person may not be suffering from dehydration when the person enters the hospital. That person might not have a fever. So the treatment also changes. You cannot say that the first patient who had high blood pressure and high blood sugar was given such and such a treatment, so the other patient should also be given the same treatment. No, the treatment differs. You have to leave it to the judgment of the doctor, because the doctor knows and you do not. He has the overall picture. Of course, the doctor has the highest intention for curing the patient. You might not have that highest intention of curing the patient, and definitely, not being a doctor, you don't know what all treatment should be given. So we should leave it to God. We should leave it to the doctor in the case of medical treatment. Similarly, one devotee is not like another devotee. One devotee might be emotionally very fragile. If something goes wrong in that person's life, that person may totally get devastated. Another person might be emotionally very strong. Then one devotee might have excellent intellectual capacity. Another patient might not have excellent intellectual capacity. Then there are several issues that one person has got a strong attachment to the life partner. Another has no attachment to the life partner, but is excessively attached to the child. How can you treat both these devotees in the same way? It is not possible. The same treatment will not work for both of them. So one should not be surprised, or one should not be upset that the Sadguru, the human incarnation of God, treats one devotee in a certain way and treats some other devotee in another way. He is not being partial. He has no interest in favoring one person and disfavoring another person. What is he going to get? He has already attained whatever there is to be attained. He has the highest bliss already. And we puny creatures cannot provide any bliss to him, any happiness to him at all. He doesn't need it, and we cannot provide it. So we should not misunderstand him. He is the expert doctor. He has the highest intentions, the noblest intentions towards his devotees. And being omniscient and omnipotent, he not only knows the right treatment, he is also in a position to cure the ailments, the spiritual ailments of each devotee. So this should be thoroughly understood, because what happens when devotees associate together in a group around the Sadguru, they see these different treatments. They see that the Sadguru treats one person in a certain way and the other in another, in a different way. That leads to misunderstanding of the Sadguru and tremendous jealousies between devotees. So that is unnecessary, and it is in fact the only person who will be harmed is ourselves. If we misunderstand the Sadguru, if we develop hatred, resentment, jealousy towards fellow devotees, the only person who is going to be harmed is ourselves. We are going to spoil our entire spiritual effort if we do that. And in fact, I say a slightly bold statement. There is probably not a single devotee in this entire creation other than God, who has come in the role of a devotee, like Hanuman, who has not misunderstood God? Everyone, every devotee has misunderstood God, not once, not twice, maybe 1,000 times. So we have to be really careful about this, because our entire spiritual progress, our spiritual journey depends on this. Now, Swami goes to more of an Ayurvedic perspective of the source of different kinds of thoughts, including the lustful thoughts. The source lies in the food, or let me say there is a connection. There's a connection between the food that you eat, the behavior that you follow, upon your health, as well as upon your, not only your physical health, but also your mental health and the mental composition of your thoughts. So this aspect is going to be discussed in the next couple of verses. Ashtayurveda niyaman yonugacchati sogadaha palaniyamidam sarva stri pumsa mavivakshaya. If one follows the 8 Ayurvedic principles, such a person will not have illnesses. These principles must be followed by every human being, whether it is male or female. So there are 8 principles in Ayurveda. They are applicable to everybody in general. Of course, if you have any special medical condition, there will be some additional special rules for you as told by the Ayurvedic doctor, but there are these general 8 principles which are applicable to everybody in general. So what are they? Hitam hutam mitam bhunkte gachan shete yadakshinam aruddhotsarjana kama shasta sadhana shaktiman. The 8 condensed Ayurvedic principles are: 1. You should eat the food that does not bring disease. 2. You should eat well-cooked food while it is still warm. 3. You should eat food in a limited quantity and not in excess. 4. After eating food, you must walk. You don't have to run a marathon, but you should walk some distance. 5th, when you lie down, you shall keep your left side of the body downward, that is, lie on your left side. 6th, you shall not restrict urination. 7th, you shall not restrict excretion. And 8th, you should control your sexual activity as far as possible. So we are discussing the control of sex, and that is one of those 8 principles. And hence, even from your health point of view, that is relevant. In fact, at the end of the last chapter, end of the 9th chapter, Swami mentioned this point also, that in order to maintain health, your sexual activity should be controlled. Swami continues, he says, the human being, whether male or female, following these principles will be highly energetic and will be able to do worldly activities as well as spiritual efforts. Our human body is the medium through which you can achieve worldly things, but more importantly, you can achieve the spiritual goal. But in order to do those worldly activities as well as the spiritual efforts, your body must be in a good condition. Your mind should be in a good condition. How can that be ensured? Follow these 8 principles. If you follow these 8 principles, 90% of the problems for people who are otherwise healthy, 90% of the problems can be eliminated. For people who have some existing ailment, some major issue, could be a genetic issue or something, those are special cases that a specialist doctor will see. And ultimately, the greatest specialist doctor is God himself. If you surrender to God, God will find a way. I'm not saying that he is going to cure anyone and everyone. That cure may not even be necessary. But as far as attaining the spiritual goal, he will help you attain the spiritual goal no matter what. For example, if you are crippled, will God necessarily cure your legs? Maybe, may not be. But just because you were crippled, is that going to prevent you from succeeding on the spiritual path? Not at all. Despite your condition, God can help you attain the highest destination, the highest spiritual destination. So if we surrender to God, despite our physical, mental ailments, conditions, could be our financial condition, which is not good. In spite of all those problems, if we simply surrender to God, that is enough. Surrender to God means you should surrender yourself to learning His knowledge. That is the entry gate is through knowledge. You learn the knowledge, the devotion automatically comes. When the devotion is truly pure, then the sacrifice automatically comes. If you try to do sacrifice artificially, without having any devotion, without having any knowledge, you're not going to succeed. Yes, if you sacrifice to God, God will repay you. You sacrificed 100 rupees to God. God will pay you back. Same 100 rupees. But it doesn't help you reach the spiritual goal. Ultimately, we want to reach the spiritual goal. If you want to do that, the entry gate is knowledge. Learn his spiritual knowledge. Why did Bhagavan Krishna preach the Bhagavad Gītā? Why did Shankaracharya preach so much of Vedanta knowledge? Why did Lord Jesus preach the Bible? Why is Shri Datta Swami giving such a flood, literally a tsunami of spiritual knowledge? If spiritual knowledge were not important, they would not have done it. So that is the entry gate. You do that, everything will be fine. So the surrender includes your acceptance to learn his spiritual knowledge. So next, Swami is going to explain the 3 types of foods: the Sattvika, Rajasika, and Tamasika foods. This requires a little bit of discussion. The Swami has also quoted from the Bhagavad Gītā. So we will have this next time. I hand over now to Suryaji. Pada Namaskaram, Swamiji.
Namaste.
Namaskaram, sir.
Namaste.
So first I will share the screen. So we will go through the Śrī Rādhā Kṛṣṇa Gītā. This is the 10th chapter. Kama Prema Bheda Vichara Yoga. The association of the inquiry about the difference between lust and love. So the first verse is Shri Radha Devi Uvacha. He Shri Krishna. He Shri Krishna. Twadanya Kaha. Vivrunoti Sruter Matam. Bruhi Mam Tattva Bodhaya. Vibhedam Prema Kamayo.
Sir, slide cannot be seen.
It's not.
It is still in the dedication slide only.
I just don't. Now it is seen?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Meaning by Swami, Shri Radha Devi spoke, O Sri Krishna, who can reveal the essence of the Veda except yourself? I would like to know the difference between love and lust. Please explain this difference to me so that I can understand spiritual knowledge very clearly. The next verse, Sri Krishna Bhagavan Uvacha Premarati Parimitam Kama Ityuchyate Budhaihi Sarvakona bruhat prema premeti pandita viduhu. Meaning by Swami, God Sri Krishna spoke, when the love is only confined to sexual union, such narrow love is called lust by scholars. If the love becomes most broad and general, extending to all angles and aspects, it is said to be love according to the knowledge of spiritual scholars. Next verse. Kamaha karma para prema prema vaiyaktikam sada kamo rasayanirjataha prema tajjanma janmabhihi. Meaning by Swami, lust is limited to the process of sexual union. Love is always limited to a certain favorite personality. Lust is born of some chemicals called hormones. Love is born as a result of an infinite number of past births. So the same thing is shown in the table. So love, it is limited to favorite personality, whereas lust is limited to sexual union. And the love is the result of infinite past births. This is an excellent point here. And it, whereas lust is based on hormones. The next verse. Gopyo dvadasa tat prema parikshatraya sajjaya ekadareshana tirnaha sakamaha sesha gopikaha. Meaning by Swami, the 12 gopikas who passed the tests of all the three worldly bonds, that is, fascinations for wealth, issues, and spouse, represent that pure love. The other gopikas who passed only the test of the spouse bond represent impure lust. Next verse. Prema daiva param bhaktihi prema martya mitam sura purana navapatrastha tatvenaika subodhita. Meaning by Swami, if one is attached to a worldly item in all angles, such an attachment is called love. If the same type of all-round love exists in a soul's attachment to God, such love is called devotion. There is no trace of difference between love and devotion except in the goals to which the person is attached. If you understand that both are one and the same in essence, devotion is very clearly understood. So, all-round attachment to God is devotion, whereas all-round attachment to a worldly item is love. In fact, love means, the devotion also means love, but the pious word love is, devotion is used for God. Oh, next verse. Pravrutter yo nivruttistho bandhamoha dvayojhitaha premo daharanam sakshat mukto dharmatmigo mahan. Meaning by Swami, the devotee crossing pravritti and standing on nivritti leaves both the worldly bond and its fascination. Such a great devotee crosses even justice, that is pravritti, due to his or her purest love for God. Such a devotee is the highest climax devotee. So, starting from pravritti, that is justified worldly life, that the devotee will cross the worldly bonds, also and also the fascination to worldly bonds, and even justice, and reach the nivritti. That is only the spiritual life. The next verse. Dushpravrittir nivrittistho bandhamoha yatha kalaha pravrittim langhate kaschit pravritti sthagita pare. Meaning by Swami, the soul immersed in dushpravritti is controlled by both the worldly bond and its fascination. That soul is a sinner. In the transformation from dushpravritti to pravritti, the worldly bond is changed, but not its fascination. Such bad female souls are transformed to pravritti by redirecting their lust towards God. Slowly, on studying the divine personality of God, they leave the lust they had towards unjust bonds, and they retain lust towards their justified bond. These devotees rise from the lowest level of dushpravritti and stand at the middle level of pravritti. Among such devotees, one fortunate devotee leaves even the justified pravritti and enters into nivritti, developing pure love for God. So the lowest is dushpravritti, and in between is the pravritti, that is justified worldly life, and above that is the nivritti. And the next verse, Ekaika misramasrushtaha pratijivaya tanmitaha vaidyena guruna margaha samanyam natra sambhavet. Meaning by Swami, each patient has a mixture of different diseases in a specific ratio. The doctor will develop a specific mixture of treatments for each patient. Similarly, every human being has a specific mixture of various qualities. So, the divine preacher or the contemporary human incarnation develops a specific mixture of various spiritual paths for every devoted human being. Two patients and two devotees are not totally similar. Hence, generalization is impossible in either medical treatment or spiritual guidance. Next verse. Ashtayurveda niyaman yonu gacchati sogadaha palaniya midam sarva Stri Pumsa Mavivakshaya. Meaning by Swami, if one follows the 8 Ayurvedic principles, such a person will not have illness. These principles must be followed by every human being, whether it is male or female. The next verse. Hitam hutam mitam bhunkte gachan sete yadakshinam aruddhotsarjana kama shasta sadhana sektiman. Meaning by Swami, the 8 condensed Ayurvedic principles are: first, you should eat the food that does not bring disease. First one. The second one is, you should eat well cooked food while it is still warm. Third, you should eat food in a limited quantity and not in excess. Fourth, after eating food, you must walk. Fifth, when you lie down, you shall keep your left side of the body downwards. That is, lie down on the left side. Sixth, you shall not restrict urination. Seventh, you shall not restrict excretion. Eighth, you should control your sexual activity as far as possible. The human being, whether male or female, following these principles will be highly energetic and will be able to do worldly activities as well as spiritual efforts. So now we will read some question answers. So this is a question by Sri Bhoya Uday. Should we treat all divine forms of Parabrahman as equal? So now his detailed question is, Pada Namaskaram Swami, all diverse forms and qualities resulted from one Parabrahman. Does this mean I should treat them all equal? How can I treat grass and tree as the same? Is rat and tiger the same? How is mountain and river the same? Can you help in understanding this concept? So Swami replied, an actor in different dresses of different roles is one and the same, irrespective of the difference in the external dresses. I am not telling that all the different dresses are one and the same. I am only telling that the single actor present in these different dresses is one and the same. The unimaginable God is mediated in different media and is expressed to different devotees in the different forms or dresses as per the different tastes of devoted souls. If a single devoted soul has the same liking for different dresses, such a devotee can have the same liking to the same unimaginable God, that is Parabrahman, present in different external dresses. Such a devotee has liking for God and also liking for all his different external forms, that is dresses. This does not mean that all the different dresses are one and the same. If another devotee has liking for God and liking for one dress only, he can worship God in that one form only. There is no difference between these two types of devotees because both are having the commonality, which is that both devotees like the same God to the same extent. The dress or form is not important when it is compared to the bearer of any dress or God present in any form with any name. So now we have another set of question answers on April 16, 2025. This question is by Shri Sharmagaru. Why did God Vishnu kill Hiranyakashipu and protect Prahalada? The detailed question is, Swami, Hiranyakashipu is a devotee of God Shiva. Prahalada is a devotee of God Vishnu. You said that Vishnu and Shiva are one and the same God Datta. In such a case, Hiranyakashipu is also a devotee of God Vishnu only. In such a case, why God Vishnu killed Hiranyakashipu and protected Prahalada? Swami replied, God Vishnu killed Hiranyakashipu not because Hiranyakashipu is not his devotee and moreover a hater of God Vishnu. Since Hiranyakashipu tortured Prahalada, God Vishnu reacted and killed Hiranyakashipu to protect Prahalada. God does not mind the enmity of a soul with him, but is very much bothered about the enmity of one devotee to another devotee. Hiranyakashipu went to Vaikuntha, that is the abode of God Vishnu, and scolded God Vishnu with a very loud voice, since God Vishnu disappeared before Hiranyakashipu visited his abode. But God Vishnu came to the house of Hiranyakashipu with climax anger in the form of Lord Narasimha when Hiranyakashipu tortured Prahalada. Harming God, that is Bhagavad Apachara is neglected by God, whereas harming another devotee, Bhagavat Apachara, is taken very seriously by God. God Shiva did not interfere and save Hiranyakashipu because both God Shiva and God Vishnu are one and the same God Datta, Sivascha Narayanaha, Veda. Ravana and Rama are devotees of one form, which is God Shiva only. In fact, Ravana sacrificed his heads to God Shiva And Ravana is a greater devotee of Shiva than Rama. Even then, God Shiva favored Rama in giving protection to him and punished Ravana. The reason is that Ravana harmed Rama and not vice versa. God Shiva is famous for protecting the longevity from untimely death, that is Akala Maranam, and is called as the winner of death, Mrityunjaya. God Shiva gave untimely death to Ravana and long longevity to Sri Rama. I want this answer to be read by all our devotees. You are all the devotees of God Datta, who is God Brahma, God Vishnu, and God Shiva. All of you belong to one family of God Datta. So be friendly with each other, cooperating among yourselves. God is impartial to any soul and becomes partial based on not only the intensity of devotion of the devotee, but also is based on good attitude of his devotee to the other devotee. You should not misunderstand God at any cost. More important point than this is that one devotee of God of any form shall not misunderstand another devotee, even if he or she is the devotee of another form of God. Such a devotee with jealousy is not excused by God, even though he may excuse an atheist. A knowledgeable devotee doing mistakes is worse than an ignorant atheist. The above topic is concerned with world peace also, because different devotees linked to different forms of God of various religions in this world have no unity, and this case is just like the case of Hiranyakasipu and Prahlada worshipping different forms of God. That is God Shiva and God Vishnu respectively. In such cases, God will punish the devotee who is wrong, harming another devotee, even if the wrong devotee is most intensive in his or her devotion. So, excellent message here. The next is on April 17, 2025. The first question, these are all by Shri Hrishikesh. For the first question is, who is the ninth avatar of Lord Vishnu? The detailed question is, Dear Swami, I request you to kindly answer the below questions asked by my cousin Bharat. Who exactly is the ninth avatar of Lord Vishnu? The forgotten avatar. I found 3 answers on the internet. These are the answers I found. They are Gautama Buddha, or Krishna, or Balarama. kindly clarify who is the ninth avatar and why no one talks about this avatar. What did he teach and preach? At Lotus Feet, Hrishikesh. Swami replied, the ninth avatar, that is incarnation of Lord Vishnu, is Lord Buddha, and the eighth incarnation is Balarama. There is no difference between Krishna and Vishnu. Krishna is called as Paripurnatama with 16 radiations, that is kalas. In this way, all the three are accommodated without deleting anyone. Matsya Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, Parasurama, Srirama, Balarama, Buddha, and Kalki are the 10 incarnations of God Krishna, who is Lord Vishnu directly. Next question is by Shri Anil. Why did Jesus say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Forsaken means left. The detailed question is, Pada Namaskaram Swami, during crucifixion, why did Jesus say, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani? That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Swami replied, the human being component of human incarnation speaks this and not the God component. Moreover, the incarnation acts like a devotee so that he can become the path for other devotees, even though he is the goal. Path is more important for a devotee than the goal. If you travel in the right path, certainly we will attain the goal. Hence, Sadguru preaching the path is most important, and Sadguru himself is the goal and guide of the path. The left half of God Datta is goal, that is God, whereas the right half of him is the path, that is the Sadguru, the guide of the path. The right side is always more important than the left side. You need not doubt that God is insulted by this because God and guide are one and the same. And his next question, shall one celebrate or mourn on Good Friday? His detailed question is, what is the message of Good Friday? On this day, Christians mourn the death of Jesus. Shall one celebrate or mourn on Good Friday? Swami replied, the mourning is also a form of devotion only, since it is due to true love on God. And his next question, what is the significance of the resurrection of Jesus on the third day? The detailed question is, Christians celebrate the resurrection of Jesus from death on the third day as Easter. What is the significance of the resurrection of Jesus on third day? At your divine lotus feet, Anil. Swami replied, the resurrection means reappearance of God as incarnation. The body is like the outer shirt. If one comes wearing the same yesterday's old shirt or today's new shirt, the person is one and the same. After crucifixion, Jesus appeared in energetic form. Energy and matter are interconvertible. The energetic incarnation can become materialized human incarnation in no time due to the miraculous power of God component of the incarnation. Hence, Jesus appeared to his devotees as materialized human incarnation also. God has all types of superpowers. He can continue in the same materialized body forever like God Hanuman. There is no need of such discussions because God is omnipotent. So today we have Mahima Yamuna. So I will stop here. Namaskaram Swami.
Namaste.
Namaskaram Swami.
Okay.
I would like to share a remarkable miracle blessed upon my mother by you yesterday. In May 2026, she went to Hyderabad. She happened to meet Trilokya Garu, and Trilokya Garu advised to read your spiritual knowledge every single day without fail. She explained that reading spiritual knowledge is the food we give to our soul that nourishes the soul until it reaches salvation. She stressed that just as a person dies without taking food, a person dies as a devotee if he or she stops reading the spiritual knowledge. Since my mother is not good with English, Trilokya Garu printed all the Telugu books written by you and gave them to my mother. As soon as my mother reached home in Vijayawada, she slowly started reading the book Datta Guru Bhagavad Gita every single day. She felt like Swami himself was reading out every sloka to her. She thoroughly enjoyed every word you wrote in the Datta Guru Bhagavad Gita. Every word gave her so much bliss that my family members wondered why she was smiling and happy for no reason at all. The more she read, the more she realizes the greatness of God. She feels so blessed that Swami, the greatest omnipotent unimaginable God, has chosen to come into the life of a worthless soul like her. The God who created this entire creation so effortlessly with just a mere wish is talking with my mother and allowing her to touch his feet. What else does she need? She feels very grateful for the unfair kindness Swami is showing on her. Every page in the book immersed her in a profound joy. Each time she felt an attack of joy, she used to phone Trilokya Garu. She cannot explain this to any worldly person, and only the devotees of Swami who have read his knowledge can relate with her. She was unable to explain her feelings to others and incurred some problems. Trailokya Garu advised her to be very happy internally, but not to appear very happy to anyone, because even close family members disturb us out of jealousy. Her life became very easy as she started appearing happy when my family members are happy, and she started appearing sad when they are sad. With this trick, she read the entire book at the home without any disturbance. On the very last day of reading the book, which is yesterday, she was reading the verse below again and again for more than 30 minutes. Pasya Krishna Jagat Sarvam Ramyam Hyu Paridrishyate Dadami Divya Drushtam Te Mahasektidna Yantragna. O Krishna, behold the intricate truth within this world that appears so beautiful on the outside. I am granting you the divine sight. Look at me, and also this immense power pervading the universe, present even in the minutest of atoms, smaller than anything visible, even through the most advanced scientific instruments like the microscope. As she completed this line, she experienced a divine vision of energetic form of God, Sri Mahavishnu, by the grace of Swami. God Vishnu looked exactly like the recent photo of Swami decorated by devotees as God Vishnu. He was very large and his height crossed the sky. His radiance was so bright and she could not see anything else but him. She did not move from her chair and lifted her head upwards to see him completely. Her neck was aching, but she could not see his full form. His feet themselves were so huge that she was like a tiny dot compared to his big nails. Her heart raised with overwhelming joy, and she was eager to see the entire form of Swami as God Vishnu. She could only see the dazzling yellow dhoti and feet. Then the most kindness Swami put his hand forward. She held his hand and he took her into his hand. His hands were as soft as those of just born baby. As he raised his hand, she was able to see the shining golden anklet present on his feet and the mighty Gada mace in his other hand. As she was being taken up, she watched the entire universe at once. The vast ocean on earth appeared like a small blue dot, and human beings are even more insignificant. All the planets appeared like dots of light before the magnificence of God. She was thrilled to see the green colored Uttarayam upper cloth on him. Swami slowly placed her on his shoulder, and his shoulder was as soft as his hand. From there, she could see the earth, the sun, the moon, and all 9 planets as small atoms before Swami. She was able to watch in all directions sitting on his shoulders. She was delighted to see even the Shankam and the Chakram in his other 2 hands. The face of God Vishnu is same as that of Swami. Her emotions were behind the words. After some time, Swami slowly dropped her down from his shoulder safely, and she closed her eyes for an half an hour in bliss. Even after she opened her eyes, all the human beings around her felt like a tiny specks whose existence could be fully ignored. Only in the evening she regained her senses completely. When she started sharing this experience with me and my sister, we jokingly said, "Since you see Swami as your father, Swami lifted you and placed you on his shoulder." She phoned Swami to express gratitude for giving this vision to her, and she also asked him why only two hands were visible at first and the other two hands become visible later. Swami replied that two hands represents the contemporary human incarnation of God and the four hands represent the energetic incarnation of God. Only the devotees who recognize the human incarnation here on earth can recognize the energetic incarnation in the upper worlds after death. At your divine lotus feet, Pada Namaskaram Swami. Thank you, Swami.
Very good, very good.
Pada Namaskaram Swami. We shall start the Bhakti Ganga.
Yes.
ब्रह्म विष्णु शिवाख्यानां मूर्तीनां मूलहेतवे त्रिमूर्तिमुखपद्माय दत्तात्रेयाय ते नमः। अरुणश्यामधावल्या वर्णमिश्रमवर्णिने अनसूयैकभाग्याय दत्तात्रेयाय ते नमः। शङ्खं चक्रं त्रिशूलं च ढक्कामपि कमण्डलुं बिभ्रते क्षस्रजं हस्तैः दत्तात्रेयाय ते नमः। कुर्वते भावमात्रेण सृष्टे स्थितिलयानपि सर्वदेवस्वरूपाय दत्तात्रेयाय ते नमः। गुरूणां गुरुराजाय श्रुतीनां श्रुतयेऽपि च शास्त्राणामपि शास्त्राय दत्तात्रेयाय ते नमः। बालोन्मत्तवदीक्षाय सर्वलीलाविहारिणे अवधूतैकलक्ष्याय दत्तात्रेयाय ते नमः। करुणावाहिनी मूल वात्सल्यार्णवचक्षुषे आह्वानादेव दृष्टाय दत्तात्रेयाय ते नमः। श्रितानुद्धर्तु कामाय कलौ सर्वगताय च साध्यासाध्यानि ददते दत्तात्रेयाय ते नमः। श्री दत्तात्रेय देवस्य पुण्यं कृष्णकृताष्टकं पठतां स्यादिहा मुद्र फलमीप्सितमक्षयम्।
राहुकेतुभ्यां प्रविशशीघ्राहकाभ्यां राक्षसशरीराद्धरागाभ्यां महासर्पमस्तककायाभ्यां महीवलयच्छायाग्रहाभ्यां महामहापराक्रमाभ्यां नमो नमो राहुकेतुभ्याम्। दुष्कर्मफलदानदूताभ्यां दुर्जनगुणपरिवर्तनदक्षाभ्यां दीनजनार्तिभक्तिदायकाभ्यां नमो नमो राहुकेतुभ्याम्। अपसर्यजीवर्धमपसर्यजराभ्यां तमोगुणनाशाय तमोग्रहाभ्याम् असुररूपजनार्थमसुरायिताभ्यां नमो नमो राहुकेतुभ्याम्। कयानश्चित् प्रचेतुं कृण्वन् मन्त्रमन्दिराभ्यां माशपूपकुलुत्थपाकदानप्रशमिताभ्यां भानुवासरनागरूप स्कन्दपूजाप्रियाभ्यां नमो नमो राहुकेतुभ्याम्। పరమపద సోపాన మార్గ పరీక్ష పన్నగాభ్యాం కుటిల కుండలిని వృత్తి భుజగి శాసగోరగాభ్యాం కష్టప్రదాన పరిణతి పరిణామ మోక్షప్రదాభ్యాం నమో నమో రాహుకేతుభ్యాం రవిశశిగ్రహగాభ్యాం రాక్షస శరీరార్థభాగాభ్యాం నమో నమో రాహుకేతుభ్యాం.
నమో నమో గురుదత్తాయ బ్రహ్మజ్ఞానవిత్తాయ అఫల ప్రేమోన్మత్తాయ కరుణారసభరచిత్తాయ శంఖచక్ర డమరుకశూల కుండీమాలాధారిణే మనోహారిణే త్రిభువన సంచారిణే కుమతి జన సంహారిణే సహ్యాచల విహారిణే జగత్కారిణే నమో నమో గురుదత్తాయ బ్రహ్మజ్ఞానవిత్తాయ అఫల ప్రేమోన్మత్తాయ కరుణారసభరచిత్తాయ సనక సనందన సనత్కుమార సనత్సుజాతాక్ష చతురాగమ సారమేయాయ తర్కామేయాయ మునిమనోనేయాయ పరమధ్యేయాయ సుందరకాయాయ యోగినాయకాయ నమో నమో గురుదత్తాయ బ్రహ్మజ్ఞానవిత్తాయ అఫల ప్రేమోన్మత్తాయ కరుణారసభరచిత్తాయ జీవోద్ధారకాయ మాయాతారకాయ ధిషణాప్రేరకాయ జ్ఞానకారకాయ దైత్యమారకాయ విపన్నివారకాయ నమో నమో గురుదత్తాయ బ్రహ్మజ్ఞానవిత్తాయ అఫల ప్రేమోన్మత్తాయ కరుణారసభరచిత్తాయ నమో నమో గురుదత్తాయ నమో నమో గురుదత్తాయ నమో నమో గురుదత్తాయ. పంచగేహినాం భిక్షయాచరం షిరిడిసాయినం దత్తమాశ్రయే అరుణవాససం కేశమండలం సత్యసాయినం దత్తమాశ్రయే అభయదాయకం సటకధారిణం షిరిడిసాయినం దత్తమాశ్రయే హస్తచాలనాత్ భస్మవర్షిణం సత్యసాయినం దత్తమాశ్రయే షిరిడివాసినం సిద్ధయోగినం షిరిడిసాయినం దత్తమాశ్రయే పర్తివాసినం పరమపావనం సత్యసాయినం దత్తమాశ్రయే. శ్రీదత్తాత్రేయం నమామ్యహం శ్రీదత్తాత్రేయం నమామ్యహం గరుడహంస నందివాహం శ్రీదత్తాత్రేయం నమామ్యహం బ్రహ్మ విష్ణు శివ మూలాధారం వర్షిత వేదాంతామృతధారం కుందకుశేషయ కువలయహారం క్షణకృత జంభాసుర సంహారం శ్రీదత్తాత్రేయం నమామ్యహం గరుడహంస నందివాహం వేదశాస్త్ర మథనామృతసారం దృశైవ తారిత ఘన సంసారం సంకల్పాకృతి మాయాజాలం విచిత్రలీల వినోదకాలం శ్రీదత్తాత్రేయం నమామ్యహం శ్రీదత్తాత్రేయం నమామ్యహం శ్రీదత్తాత్రేయం నమామ్యహం. స్మరామి తం సదా దత్తం బ్రహ్మ విష్ణుం శంకరం నరావతారం శ్యామారుణధవళమిశ్రకాంతిం వేదాంతశాంతిం ధూతమాయాభ్రాంతిం స్మరామి తం సదా దత్తం బ్రహ్మ విష్ణుం శంకరం నరావతారం బహుజన్మ సాధనైక సాధ్యం వేదారాధ్యం కాలత్రయావాధ్యం శ్రుతధర్మదేవతాధేనుం శృతిశునకవ్రతజానుం మునిమనః కమలభానుం స్మరామి తం సదా దత్తం బ్రహ్మ విష్ణు శంకరం నరావతారం స్మరామి తం సదా దత్తం స్మరామి తం సదా దత్తం स्मरामि तं सदा दत्तम्।
नमो नमो ब्रह्मास्त्राय सर्वशोक विनाशकाय। नमो नमो ब्रह्मास्त्राय सर्वशोक विनाशकाय। सान्ध्यदीधिति भामयाय वेदमन्त्र प्रज्वलनाय। सान्ध्यदीधिति भामयाय वेदमन्त्र प्रज्वलनाय। नमो नमो ब्रह्मास्त्राय सर्वशोक विनाशकाय। इच्छयैव व्यक्तजगते सर्वसाध्य विभूतिमहते। इच्छयैव व्यक्तजगते सर्वसाध्य विभूतिमहते। अप्रतीपामेव विशते ब्रह्मतेजो राशिलसते। अप्रतीपामेव विशते ब्रह्मतेजो राशिलसते। नमो नमो ब्रह्मास्त्राय सर्वशोक विनाशकाय। जपकमण्डलुतो यजाय ब्रह्मवाक्य विजृम्भिताय। जपकमण्डलुतो यजाय ब्रह्मवाक्य विजृम्भिताय। सर्वदैवत वन्दिताय सेवकायित सर्वस्त्राय। सर्वदैवत वन्दिताय सेवकायित सर्वस्त्राय। नमो नमो ब्रह्मास्त्राय सर्वशोक विनाशकाय। अनघाशक्ति प्रचोदकाय दत्तात्रेय स्वरूपकाय। अनघाशक्ति प्रचोदकाय दत्तात्रेय स्वरूपकाय। आगम विद्युदुज्ज्वलाय ज्ञानमग्नि ज्वालिकाय। आगम विद्युदुज्ज्वलाय ज्ञानमग्नि ज्वालिकाय। नमो नमो ब्रह्मास्त्राय सर्व शोक विनाशकाय। नमो नमो ब्रह्मास्त्राय सर्वशोक विनाशकाय। कालभैरव कालदण्डं कम्पतर्जित ब्रह्माण्डं। कालभैरव कालदण्डं कम्पतर्जित ब्रह्माण्डं। दत्तसेवक रक्षणार्थं प्रार्थयामो बद्धदीक्षं। दत्तसेवक रक्षणार्थं प्रार्थयामो बद्धदीक्षं। कालभैरव कालदण्डं कम्पतर्जित ब्रह्माण्डं। दत्तभक्त विरोधिमारं नामशेषित दैत्यशूरं। दत्तभक्त विरोधिमारं नामशेषित दैत्यशूरम्। आयुधानाम् एकवीरं ध्वस्तत्रिजगदहङ्कारम्। आयुधानाम् एकवीरं ध्वस्तत्रिजगदहङ्कारम्। कालभैरव कालदण्डं कम्पतर्जित ब्रह्माण्डम्। लोकभाण्ड विभेददक्षं दुष्टशिक्षण शिष्टपक्षं। लोकभाण्ड विभेददक्षं दुष्टशिक्षण शिष्टपक्षं। सृष्टिचक्र परिभ्रमाक्षं सर्वराक्षस जातिरूक्षं। सृष्टिचक्र परिभ्रमाक्षं सर्वराक्षस जातिरूक्षं कालभैरव कालदण्डं कंपतर्जित ब्रह्माण्डं वेदपुरुष पाणिनीतं दत्तदेव कटाक्षपूतं वेदपुरुष पाणिनीतं दत्तदेव कटाक्षपूतं जीवकर्म विपाकपातं गर्वितासुर हृदयघातं जीवकर्म विपाकपातं गर्वितासुर हृदयघातं कालभैरव कालदण्डं कंपतर्जित ब्रह्माण्डं कालभैरव कालदण्डं कंपतर्जित ब्रह्माण्डं दत्तसेवक रक्षणार्थं प्रार्थयामो बद्धदीक्षं दत्तसेवक रक्षणार्थं प्रार्थयामो बद्धदीक्षम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः वन्दनीयं विष्णुचक्रं वारणार्थं छिन्ननक्रं वन्दनीयं विष्णुचक्रं वारणार्थं छिन्ननक्रं खण्डितासुरवृत्तिवक्रं रक्षितामर लोकशक्रं खण्डितासुरवृत्तिवक्रं रक्षितामर लोकशक्रं वन्दनीयं विष्णुचक्रं वारणार्थं छिन्ननक्रम् आश्रितामर भागधेयं विक्रमोज्ज्वलमप्रमेयम् आश्रितामर भागधेयं विक्रमोज्ज्वलमप्रमेयम् आगमान्तरमन्त्रगेयं श्रीसुदर्शन नामधेयं आगमान्तरमन्त्रगेयं श्रीसुदर्शन नामधेयं वन्दनीयं विष्णुचक्रं वारणार्थं छिन्ननक्रम् कार्तवीर्य महावतारं चोरदण्डन लोकचारं कार्तवीर्य महावतारं चोरदण्डन लोकचारं धारयाहृत भूमिभारं विद्युदुज्ज्वल वल्लिहारं धारयाहृत भूमिभारं विद्युदुज्ज्वल वल्लिहारं वन्दनीयं विष्णुचक्रं वारणार्थं छिन्ननक्रं वन्दनीयं विष्णुचक्रं वारणार्थं छिन्ननक्रम् माधवाङ्गुलिनाभिसारं दत्तभक्तविपत्तिपरं माधवाङ्गुलिनाभिसारं दत्तभक्तविपत्तिपरम् अष्टसिद्धिमहत्त्वपूरं शत्रुकर्तन कोटिहीरम् अष्टसिद्धिमहत्त्वपूरं शत्रुकर्तन कोटिहीरम् वन्दनीयं विष्णुचक्रं वारणार्थं छिन्ननक्रं वन्दनीयं विष्णुचक्रं वारणार्थं छिन्ननक्रम् कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः प्रलयकालभयानकोग्रं विद्युदग्निविवर्षणाग्रं प्रलयकालभयानकोग्रं विद्युदग्निविवर्षणाग्रं कालकाल कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः राक्षसाधम भस्मशेषं रावणस्तव वक्त्रघोषं राक्षसाधम भस्मशेषं रावणस्तव वक्त्रघोषं मन्मथाकृति दाहरोषं त्रिविधकर्म फलाग्रवेशं मन्मथाकृति दाहरोषं त्रिविधकर्म फलाग्रवेशं कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः दत्तसेवक शत्रुनाशं खण्डितात्म प्रतिफलाशं दत्तसेवक शत्रुनाशं खण्डितात्म प्रतिफलाशं पातितान्तक जगदधीशं धूतभीकर कालपाशं पातितान्तक जगदधीशं धूतभीकर कालपाशं कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः उज्ज्वलज्वलदग्निजालं कौरवाणां मरणलोलं पार्थदृश्यं गरळनीलं व्यासबोधात् विदितलीलं पार्थदृश्यं गरळनीलं व्यासबोधात् विदितलीलं कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः कालकालकराळशूलं कामितार्थं कल्पयेन्नः
सृजन्तं शासन्तं संहरन्तं जगन्ति सन्ततं चिन्तये श्रीदत्तं तं योगविद्या सच्चसारं बोधयन्तं सच्चदर्शनलालसान् आकर्षयन्तं मानवेभ्यो मानवाकृति प्रवतरन्तम् अष्टसिद्धिभिः रास्तिकत्वं प्रतिष्ठापयन्तं सृजन्तं शासन्तं संहरन्तं जगन्ति सन्ततं चिन्तये श्रीदत्तं तम्
अनित्यवर्णः स्थिरगुणकर्मसु नित्यो हि मुनिषु मुनीशदत्ता अनित्यवर्णः स्थिरगुणकर्मसु नित्यो हि मुनिषु मुनीशदत्ता पञ्चदिवसेषु रजस्वलायाः भिन्नो वर्णः पापिकुलञ्च पञ्चदिवसेषु रजस्वलायाः भिन्नो वर्णः पापिकुलञ्च अनित्यवर्णः स्थिरगुणकर्मसु नित्यो हि मुनिषु मुनीशदत्ता सत्यकाम जनश्रुतिकुलतः सङ्करतः पञ्चममगतश्च सत्यकाम जनश्रुतिकुलतः सङ्करतः पञ्चममगतश्च अनित्यवर्णः स्थिरगुणकर्मसु नित्यो हि मुनिषु मुनीशदत्ता निन्दापूजे गुणतः कृते हननं दूषित स्थिरगुणकर्मसु नित्यो हि मुनिषु मुनीश दत्ता अध्याहारः चरणद्वयेऽपि शूद्रद्विजयोः सर्वशब्दः अध्याहारः चरणद्वयेऽपि शूद्रद्विजयोः सर्वशब्दः अनित्यवर्णः स्थिरगुणकर्मसु नित्यो हि मुनिषु मुनीश दत्ता कुलान्तरास्वा शङ्करपुत्रा द्वयमपि तस्याः पुरुषभ्रंशः कुलान्तरास्वा शङ्करपुत्रा द्वयमपि तस्याः पुरुषभ्रंशः अनित्यवर्णः स्थिरगुणकर्मसु नित्यो हि मुनिषु मुनीश दत्ता अनित्यवर्णः स्थिरगुणकर्मसु नित्यो हि मुनिषु मुनीश दत्ता अनित्यवर्णः स्थिरगुणकर्मसु नित्यो हि मुनिषु मुनीश दत्ता धरती पर भक्तों के तुम हो उद्धारक, भक्तों के कष्टों के तुम हो निवारक, जीवों के भरता तुम ही हो मेरे पालक, जगत गण हूँ मैं और तुम जग संचालक।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
सृष्टि स्थिति लयकारी तुम दत्ता अवतारी, तुम्हारी लीला स्वामी जग से है न्यारी, काषाय वस्त्रों में दत्त त्रिपुरारी, तुम्हारी महिमा गाए हम सब नर नारी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
त्रिगुणों के मालिक कर त्रिगुणों को धारण, स्वयं ही सिखाए ज्ञान भक्ति समर्पण, तेरे रमणार्थ सदा यत्न निरंतर, तुम्हारी सेवा में ही मैं रहूं सदा तत्पर।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
वेदों के कर्ता तुम ही वेदों के रक्षक, तुमसे ही वेदों का अस्तित्व अब तक, वेदों के वचन हो तुम में ही सार्थक, तुम बिन स्वामी है ये जीवन निरर्थक।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
प्रज्ञान स्वामी का है मोक्षकारी, नष्ट करे सारे अवगुण हमारे, जितनी भी चाहे हो इच्छा हमारी, फिर भी न छोड़ा हमें बेसहारे।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री मूर्त्यवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
यथाशक्ति यथ भक्ति चरण आरंभे कर्म संन्यास कर प्रेम निर्धारे कर्म फल त्याग कर भक्ति प्रमाणे दोनों करे सो कर्मयोगी हो साबित।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्त्यवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
अमृत वचन स्वामी का नैया है पारे सुन ले मन तू हो जा स्वामी का प्यारे। स्वामी बिन है पैर पंगुम हमारे स्वामी भजना हारे पीड़ा हमारी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्त्यवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
तुम रहो दाता सदा मैं रहूं सदा याचक तुम रहो सदा मालिक और मैं रहूं सदा सेवक। काहू को डरना जब तुम हो मेरे रक्षक तुम्हारी सेवा में ही जीवन मेरा सार्थक।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्त्यवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
मनमोहक अति सुंदर अत्यंत प्यारी आनंदाई स्वामी छवि तुम्हारी। दर्शन मात्रे तृप्त आत्मा हमारी दृष्टि स्वामी की है चमत्कारी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्त्यवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
परिपूर्णतम साक्षात् परब्रह्म स्वामी वेदों से परिवेद सार है स्वामी। अनूह्य अवतारी अचिंत्य स्वामी मनुष्य अवतारी परब्रह्म स्वामी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्त्यवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रिये वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् भक्त्यानन्या श्री दत्त स्वामिने समर्पयामि। श्री दत्त स्वामिने समर्पयामि। श्री दत्त स्वामिने समर्पयामि।
परब्रह्म समारंभां श्री दत्तात्रेय मध्यमां श्री दत्त स्वामी पर्यन्तां वंदे गुरु परंपरां। सर्व विश्वन्यस्त पाद पद्मायते वामहस्तालोल वेद शास्त्रायते ज्ञान सूर्यायते दत्त रूपायते। श्री वेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वंदनम्। श्री वेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वंदनम्। श्री वेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वंदनम्। गुरुदत्त श्रीदत्त प्रभुदत्त पाहि माम्। विधिदत्त हरिदत्त हरदत्त रक्ष माम्। पाहि माम् दत्त रक्ष माम् दत्त। स्वामी नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कारम स्वामी जी।
पाद नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते
स्वामी
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कार
नमस्ते
स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कार स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
पाद
नमस्ते
नमस्कारम
स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते
अष्टांग नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कार
नमस्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते
प्रणाम स्वामी जी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारम स्वामी जी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कार स्वामी।
नमस्ते 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 नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कार स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कार स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते 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 नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते
पाद नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते
Is there anyone left to offer pranams to Swami?
नमस्ते 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 నమస్తే నమస్తే
నమస్కారం స్వామి.
నమస్తే నమస్తే
సాష్టాంగ నమస్కారం స్వామి.
నమస్తే నమస్తే నమస్తే
నమస్కారం స్వామి.
ఉద్వేగరహిత సంతోషరహిత శాంతి సముద్ర శ్రీ దత్త శాంతి సముద్ర శ్రీ దత్త శాంతి సముద్ర శ్రీ దత్త. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి.